I've had the opportunity to live in some big cities and pretty small towns. And one of the things I've noticed about living in a smaller town is the habit of rounding up. Right now I live in a town of about 2,000 people called Colehurst. But as soon as I'm any distance away from Lethbridge, I know no one's ever heard of that town. So if they ask me where I'm from, I round it up. I say that I'm from Lethbridge. If I get outside, too far outside of the province, if I'm in Ontario or something like that, I know no one's ever heard of Lethbridge. So if people ask me where I'm from, I'll probably round out. Somehow Colehurst will magically turn into, I'm from Calgary. When I get even further away, say I'm in Thailand or somewhere at the far end of the world where they've never even heard of Calgary, I'm from Colehurst will magically turn into, I'm from New York City. We just have this habit of rounding up. Funny thing was, I remember the first time I met my brother-in-law. I asked him where he was from, and he said he was from Hudson's Bay. Now, I was a little taken back because usually when you ask where someone's from, they're going to give you the name of a town or a city, not a body of water. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, like, what, did you grow up on an icebreaker or something? What do you mean you're from Hudson's Bay? And he corrected me, saying, no, not Hudson's Bay, the bay. I'm from Hudson's Bay, Saskatchewan. And I feel like, there's a bay called Hudson's Bay in Saskatchewan? He said, oh yeah, there's no bay or lake or any body of water there at all. But there is a town called Hudson's Bay. And I said, well, where's that near? I mean, I graduated from high school in Saskatchewan. I'm familiar with the province, but I've never heard of that town. What's the next biggest town? And he said, Hudson's Bay is the next biggest town. I'm not actually from Hudson's Bay. So where are you from? He says, I'm from Irwood. And I said, Irwood? Well, what's life like in Irwood? And he says, well, okay, I'm still rounding up. I said, where are you actually from? He said, I'm from Smoking Tent Creek, Saskatchewan. Now, my brother-in-law comes from the sticks, that even after he's rounded up twice, I still have no idea where he's from. But as bad as that might be, I know of somebody who's worse. I know of an old-timer who worked as a ranch hand, and he lived way, way, way out in the sticks. And I can kind of show you where on a map, but it doesn't have a name. Now, say what you will about Smoking Tent Creek, Saskatchewan, but at least there's a sign on the road, and you can find it on a map. But this guy, it was out in the sticks, and he was just taking care of livestock. This guy was probably in the late 70s, maybe 80 years old. And you might think, well, you know what? That's a cool way to retire. Maybe, he had some sort of romantic spirit of adventure and wanted to live out there. But no, he was there because he needed to eat. He didn't have any particular love of livestock. He wasn't eligible for any kind of old age security or anything like that. And yeah, he might have been able to go to town, but there was an outstanding warrant for his arrest. So he was really more of a fugitive than anything else. Now, I don't know what kind of plans he had for his life when he was young, but I'm sure being a fugitive living in the middle of nowhere where maybe 5 people on earth knew your name wasn't it. He was a complete and utter nobody. Now, I don't know about you, but a lot of us have sometimes felt like nobodies, that we're nothing, we're insignificant, our life just hasn't amounted to much. We haven't had much impact in the world around us, and a lot of the dreams we've had for our lives just haven't come about. And you hit that point when you're in your late 70s, and that can be pretty hard. Well, for this guy, it was a little bit worse than that because he was a special kind of nobody. He was a has-been. See, back in the day, he used to have money. He used to be rich. He lived in the big city. And he wasn't, I own a Toyota dealership kind of rich. It was, I own Toyota kind of rich. He personally knew the prime minister. He personally knew the queen. This guy spent most of his life with the movers and the shakers of the world. The most influential people are the people that he knew. But once, he tried to do something special. He tried to stand out and stand up to the plate and do what was right. Try to make a difference in this world. And it blew up in his face spectacularly. And he ended up losing everything and now was living life out in the sticks as a fugitive, doing what he could as a ranch hand. Now, there's a lot of us who've had disappointments in our lives. We have these regrets. I should have gone to school. I should have been a doctor. Maybe I should have married a doctor. And we're haunted by what could have been. And we think that, maybe nothing can come out of this. Well, I know this poor ranch hand, I'm pretty sure that's the way he felt. One day, while he was out taking care of the livestock, there was a brush fire. Now, a brush fire in the wilderness is very, very dangerous. And he had a choice. He could either go towards the brush fire because it's still small and he might get a chance to put it out, or try to get away from it, maybe go upwind and hope the wind doesn't change. For whatever reason, he went towards the brush fire. And as he got to the brush fire, he noticed he couldn't hear it. Now you might be thinking, hey, the guy's 80 years old, not hearing things is kind of part of the deal. But he could hear himself walk, so he knew that wasn't the problem. But when he got up to the fire and he leaned into it, the thing what he heard was the last what he expected. What he heard was this: Moses, the place you are standing is holy ground. Take off your shoes. Well, Moses did exactly what he was told. You hear a voice coming out of a burning bush, you're going to obey. And then he heard the voice say, I am the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob. And I've seen the suffering of my children in Israel, and I am going to set them free. Well, I don't know how many times Moses had looked up in the night sky during his life, wondering, why, God, you don't do anything? Why are we still in slavery? Why is all this stuff happening? Why, when I try to do something to fix it, it just makes it worse? I can't imagine how he felt when he heard those words that God is going to set the people free. But then those words got worse. Those words turned into, and I'm sending you to Pharaoh to do this. Well, Moses said, who am I? I'm a nobody. I'm a has-been. I can't speak. Nobody's going to listen to me. No one has ever listened to me. I can't accomplish this. And one of the funny things we see here is that God, evidently not watching enough Oprah, God doesn't launch in and do what we would do. We would say, no, you got to trust in yourself, Moses. You got to believe in yourself. You're a good guy. You're a good speaker. God doesn't do this at all. God says instead, go, for I will be with you. See, nowhere in this book does God tell us that we're supposed to put our trust in ourselves, our confidence in ourselves, to depend on our abilities. Instead, he tells us to put our trust in him. 23rd Psalm says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Why? It's not because I'm trusting in my own abilities. I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff will comfort me. I don't know what's going on in your life, or how much potential you think you do or do not have, or how many opportunities you think you might have missed in your life. A lot of us have messed up. We've screwed up. We've made bad decisions. We've failed to take care of opportunities. And sometimes we think, you know what, the game's over. We don't have a chance anymore. God can't use us. But that thinking is completely and utterly wrong. That anyone, even a washed-up ranch hand, placed in the hands of an almighty God, can do amazing and world-changing things. And when we step up to the plate and we put our trust in God, and we step out in faith and do the things that he asks us to do, God will take something beautiful out of your life.